This week, I wanted to try something a little different. If you're new here, welcome. And if you've been following this project for the past month, thank you so much for your support. This week, I wanted to just get really real and a little vulnerable, which is honestly very difficult for me, as I think it is for a lot of people, but I'm also a big believer in transparency and honesty. So we're gonna try this. If you like it, if you don't like it, if you have suggestions or thoughts, let me know down in the comments. And I wanted to just get into aging, especially in the modern world where we see more than ever this attitude of reactive treatment rather than preventative care. And that's been really a big part of my journey through this, has been looking at it that way, as preventative care, as, you know, I'm 30 now, I'll be 31 when I get married. I'm getting married next year, shout out to my fiance. And when I was in my 20s, even knowing that I had a high risk of hypertension, I chose not to take care of my body. I was doing the very typical American young 20-something thing of eating really high salt, highly processed foods, and I was drinking very heavily. Because my mom has hypertension and my dad had a heart condition, I grew up eating a low sodium DASH diet style, that was our regular baseline at home. So when I got to college and I was suddenly free to choose a lot of foods that I didn't eat often growing up, I went a little overboard with it. And alcohol especially there was a time in my life when I was drinking a lot. And partially it was because I felt it made me more social. I'm very shy and introverted, but alcohol removed a lot of the inhibitions I had in social situations. And suddenly I was like, life of the party, really funny, getting attention from the cool kids. And that time in my life also overlapped with some major emotional events that I didn't know how to work through or sit with in a healthy way. So alcohol became this numbing crutch for me almost. I don't think I'd do anything differently given who I was at the time. My experiences over the last decade have been such a significant part of me making the shift and putting myself and my health first as the priority. Now, following the DASH diet, I eat a pretty clean diet on the daily with room for the occasional, slice of pizza or a bagel or whatever. My alcohol use, I've cut way back to a very occasional consumption. Alcohol can have a pretty significant impact on blood pressure, and making that change has been really important for my overall health. I think especially in our early adulthood, young women get this influx of pressure around who to be, how to appear, how to make friends, how to attract a partner. And that creates a very competitive, stressful environment. And a lot of the media that I grew up with reinforced that. Like girl best friends on TV were always having crushes on the same person or fighting over the attention of the popular crowd. And it's this way of pitting us against each other. And I'm not saying we don't see that with boys, but I think it was so normalized for girls and young women, at least when I was growing up. That was really something I internalized, and it's something I've had to work to unlearn. And the stress of being in friendships or relationships that I was desperate to stay in just because someone liked me, but I never really gave space or consideration for if I liked them, if I was getting benefit out of the friendship. I have a journal from my freshman year of college that I found recently, and my boyfriend at the time, I was reading it back and I have these entries where I wrote he's texting me 40 plus times if I don't respond because I'm in class. And I'm not even sure I like him as a person anymore, but he loves me, so I should try to make it work. No, girl, run. That should have been my reaction. And I was very much like that about my health too for a really long time, where it was I'm okay, I'm surviving. I might have days where I feel really dizzy or really franky and don't know why. And honestly, this journey with the DASH diet and with trying these holistic methods to lower my blood pressure has been a real journey of self-love and self-discovery. Stress and blood pressure go together, as I've said in previous videos, and something I think we should talk about more is how we make space daily to reduce stress in meaningful ways. When we look at media, often it's grabbing a beer after work, having a glass of wine. For states where it's legalized, it might be having an edible or hitting a vape. And then we've also got this comfort food culture where it's a bag of potato chips or McDonald's or whatever. And then also it's sitting on the couch or bed rotting or scrolling endlessly, binging a show. None of those things are bad necessarily. I'm not saying they're bad. I've done them, I do them, but they don't help us actually reduce our stress levels, because the substances and the foods often put more stress on our internal systems. Even if they make our brain and our taste buds happy in a moment, they're putting more stress on the systems overall. And the scrolling or the TV, it's just a temporary distraction or a temporary disconnect. That realization has been essential for me in choosing this lifestyle. I use the phrase DASH diet a lot because that's what it's called, but diet suggests a temporary thing with an end date in mind. Really, the DASH diet is a lifestyle choice, and that combined with the other supportive practices for lowering blood pressure like journaling or daily movement, time with a pet, positive social interactions, it's all part of a lifestyle shift that naturally reduces stress and can lower blood pressure. It's preventative care. I think it's really challenging in this modern environment too, because the DASH diet, for example, it's been scientifically proven to work, and yet it has not gotten the same attention as carnivore or keto or any of these fad diets. That's really interesting because it's all it is, it basically is eat real food. Like that is the baseline, is eat real food. And I think a lot of people, thinking about these societal standards, thinking about how the media portrays things and a lot of the messaging that we receive from a very early age. A lot of people, I think, get told that because they have a certain body type or because they look a certain way, like, this isn't for you. If you look like an almond mom, fine, eat your almonds, right? But this isn't accessible for you unless you fit into a certain category. And the DASH diet, I already said I don't love that term diet, but the DASH diet lifestyle, it can be something that is for everyone. So those are some of my thoughts. Those are some of my thoughts and feelings. And yeah, like I said earlier, if you liked this, if you thought this was interesting, if you have specific questions you want answered, please leave those in the comments down below. And I would love to see them, read them. And your suggestions are always welcome too. So that's it for this one, and I'll see you next week.